in our main event, we had Sammy, Spanish God, defending his interim TNT title that he just won at Battle of the Belts by beating an elderly man with face paints in a singles match.
Sting?
He defended it against, might as well. You had a coin flip of getting it, and you might as well have gotten it right. So he was defending against Danny Garcia, who I have now seen on TV way too much recently. And despite that, if he was standing in front of me, I wouldn't know who he was. That being said, they had a match. It was fine. Sammy defended. More importantly, this match was sowing seeds for the more exciting Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho match, where hopefully Eddie Kingston can win a fucking feud for once. But also related, but not directly to the segment, Cody Rhodes, the actual TNT champion, will return next week. Kind of like they didn't need to crown an interim champion for this less than 2 week period. But, you know, you just had to have a random Battle of the Belts show 3 days after you had a Dynamite with 3 title matches on it. Maybe you should have saved one of them for this show. I don't know, man. I'm an ideas guy, so I'm just throwing shit out there. But, you know. Rev, do you, as a whole, what do you think of, not so much this match, if you really want to talk about it, you can, but the whole TNT title situation and the whole Eddie and Jericho situation?
I want to state, and I think I've said this before on the pod, I like the idea of interim titles when people get hurt. I think it's a good way to keep the title on TV and build somebody else, and then you have a built-in match/feud when the original champion comes back. Works well in UFC. It can work here too. So them creating this interim championship and giving it to Sammy, who I love, I thought it was a good idea. But it being such a short-term thing where Cody's only going to be out apparently, 2 weeks now? And is honestly weird.
Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's weird. Like if Cody was going to be out like a month, maybe or even long term, and obviously we don't want that to happen to anybody. But if it was a longer term thing, like this makes sense. The couple of weeks thing, I don't think it makes that much sense unless they're just trying to continue the Sammy Cody feud and over the title. It's a bit awkward. It's a bit clunky. We do get an extra Sammy title run.
Do we?
Kinda, like a mini one.
But like in the record books, does it count as a title reign, or does he like? I'm not as familiar with. I've seen the concept before, especially in like UFC, but like in like the AEW record books, is Sammy Guevara a 2-time TNT champion?
I think that's up to them. I mean,
You might have an asterisk next to it, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. Like I don't know. That's literally up to them and how do they decide to count it. It's up to Tony. So, even if they don't count it, like on paper, we're still getting this, little bonus run here out of it, which is cool. The match tonight is interesting. It was 2 young guys. Who are very talented, and I enjoyed the match. It's helping to build the Jericho Kingston thing, which is also cool, and I'm more interested to see where that goes because of the inner circle than just that match itself, especially with Santana and Ortiz. So there's a lot of moving parts around this match, but I think we gotta give it another week or two to see where it really all goes. So Cody's coming back. And like we said, next week, I personally think they must have thought he was going to be out longer. I think it's the only reason they did this. But, it is what it is, and we'll see where they take it.
See, I think they did it solely because of Battle of the Belts. It just happened to be on the 1 week where they were doing the show, and their back was against the wall. And I think they fumbled it a little bit because I love Sammy, but like, him as TNT champion wasn't really doing much. It's nice that he got it. So like going right back to that, it doesn't feel good because he is the least important part of all of this. Like I'm way more interested to see what is Cody Rhodes. You know, is he a face? Is he a heel?
He's a winner.
Is he
Did you
a
not see his
reality
shirt?
show? Yeah. Is he though? Because he couldn't even defend his title. So like,
Oh,
he's barely even a winner right now. Like he lost to COVID or whatever medical reason kept him off TV for a week. So maybe he's not a winner. But
I'm right here.
he's more interested in Jericho and Eddie Kingston with Santana and Ortiz is more interested in that half of this. Like, he is the least important part of this main event tonight. Like, and one of those people wasn't even there in Cody Rhodes, And I guess he's second least important because obviously Hager is not important to this at all. But has Hager been like? Was this his first time on TV in like 2 months? Because I feel like I haven't seen him. But
I think he had a Bellator match recently, so I think that might be why, or at least he was training for one.
Whether he did or didn't, I don't think that is why. I think it's just because. But so that part I really don't like. But everything else is interesting about it. I was a little negative, so maybe James can balance me out with some positivity about this. But hopefully, it's just on my side.
I am more on your side than not. I agree. I didn't really need an interim champion. I apologize. I'm not sure if it was you, Danny, or you, Nick, who said maybe they did this because they thought Cody would be out for longer. Nick, that was you. Or maybe Danny, you were right that this was because they needed something for Battle of the Belts. Either way, I would have appreciated almost anything else. Like, I understand not being able to do an AEW world title match. I understand, like, the tag team titles just changed hands. So maybe you don't want to have another tag team title match. But maybe you should have just held the tag team title match for Battle of the Belts in the first place. Like,
or
Cody
have Jade Cargill have a TBS title match. Like,
well, I get
want it, but fuck it, do it.
I guess, like, as stupid as it sounds, because the TNT title, I guess maybe wanting to have the TBS title, like, not immediately on TNT, but trying to keep it on TBS. I don't know. Even that just sounds silly. But yeah, I don't know. I was not thrilled with Battle for the Belts. I'm glad that I hope that they do more of these little events, like, throughout the year and in the future, but maybe don't make it belt specific. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy that maybe Sammy, like, I would, as much as I do like Daniel Garcia, and it was cool to see two young AEW talents having a main event, maybe Sammy could have had a different, more meaningful title defense before inevitably dropping it to Cody again. Because that's what's going to happen, right? Cody's going to come back and, like, he's going to win again. And maybe they'll call him a 4-time TNT champion. I don't know. I don't think so either. But
he's the undisputed TNT champion.
Yeah, he'll be the first ever undisputed TNT champion. Danny, I hate that you incepted that into my brain just now. Well, that's what's going to happen.
They would probably announce him the winner of that match afterwards as the undisputed champion, and then they would probably drop it. It wouldn't be like when it was the undisputed championship in WWE. At least that's how they roll in UFC.
It's Cody Rhodes, so you really can't count it out.
Well, I mean, the Hangman's the undisputed AEW champion. They just don't say it all the time.
Was there another AEW title?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that's not disputed. That's the point.
I love you, but you're giving me
the reigning defended undisputed Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. There's a reason. You don't have to say all that shit. It's just, it's implied.
It doesn't make sense when Heyman does say that because there's two world titles. So it's actually silly that he says that because it is disputable.
Well, he's the undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Champion. There's nobody disputing the fact that he is. It's implied. That's the point of the championship.
If it's implied, you don't say it.
Except when you have, because right now it's disputed because Sammy's interim championship. So then when you unify them again, then you say undisputed, and then you drop it after that. That's how they do it in UFC. That's how they
But UFC also puts interim champions because they have events where belts are defended every like 5 months. And if somebody is not capable of doing that, there should be an interim champion.
Yeah.
But this is 2 weeks.
I know. That's what I was saying before. I was very confused that they made an interim championship for 2 weeks.
But also, you know, it's wrestling, and you will throw any nickname or accolade out there, so it sounds nicer when you're making your entrance. So
It's true.
and it's
It's
Cody
true.
Rhodes, so you might just keep it in. But James, I feel like we really derailed your points,
Yeah. Sorry, James.
and I kind of want to just completely derail it, but I will give you a chance to finish if you really want to.
I don't even really know what to add at this point, other than, you know, I'm prepared for Cody to come back next week and then announce either on Rampage or on the next Dynamite the unification match, and it's all going to go as if none of this happened. None of it was real. Cody is just going to be the TNT champion.
And you know, you say that with a little bit of a sigh, but like I'd take him over Sammy. Like,
oh no, I would
day.
too. I would take Cody as champion right now over
right
Sammy
now.
as champion, but it's also just one of those things that, like, again,
It was a waste of time.
It was a waste of our time, and I might be in the minority here who doesn't really care for the meta stuff going on with Cody turning heel. I lived with that for like over a decade with John Cena. Just turn fucking heel, Cody. Just turn heel. We'll boo you for 2 months, and then we'll cheer you because you're cool, and then you get what you wanted. We're cheering for you, and I want to cheer for you. So stop with this shit.
Yeah, Cody. I actually enjoy the meta stuff to a degree, but
Yeah, me too.
we'll see, and that's, you know, again, why this main event felt a little flat to me, because I was missing the most compelling component of the story, which was Cody Rhodes. And, you know, imagine saying that was the most compelling part of the story a couple weeks from now. Rev, you have a...
Yeah, I wanted to just get back in the battle for the belts for a second, because that whole thing felt like really awkward, because I feel like they were intending it to be one thing and it just fell apart, and that's how you ended up with this whole mess. Like, it wasn't supposed to be like a 2-hour show, and then it became a 1-hour show, and it just, I don't know what happened with it, but it didn't go well.
So it should have just been a special episode of Rampage. It should not have been on its own night.
Yeah, like Fighter Fest or something.
Yeah, it should have just been like that, but for Rampage. Do one of those for Rampage, and because that's what I thought it was up until like 2 weeks before it's going to happen.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
It's going to be a separate day. Like, that's kind of pointless. Like, I was not a fan of this as a concept. And again, you know, just don't have it the same week that you're having 3 fucking title matches. Like, it just... That's one of those ones that's 100% on the company. Like, that was bad planning on their part all around. Even with the wrench in the works, you know, they dropped the ball. Like, you know,
well, I feel like
some slack because of that, but
I thought the reason they were having all of those title matches that week was because it was Battle for the Belts, and then all of a sudden it split between Dynamite and this 1-hour show on Saturday. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? They should have just done them all on Dynamite. It would have been 5 matches then. Like, just do them all on Dynamite. It would have been way cooler. And call that Battle for the Belts, you know, if you want your little Clash of Champions knockoff.